Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
And my great pleasure to welcome now the National Party candidate for Otaki in the next election, whenever that may be. Tim Costley, good morning and welcome to you.
Morning, John. It's great to be speaking to you.
Lovely to talk to you. Now, most people would say, look, we don't want to talk about politics at this stage. There's so much of that to come in the very foreseeable future, actually. Yeah. But it seems to me that we've almost superseded party politics at the moment, Tim, and I think the country has to be commended for the kinds of efforts that all sides of politics are putting into it, and the public service and the nation. It appears we're in a very special period to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, this is the kind of time when people need to pull together. Countries need to come together, and we realise we're all on the same team. The enemy isn't each other; it's this virus, and it's the health, it's the social, it's the economic implications and consequences of that. That's what we're battling against. And I think, like you, what I've seen for by and large is that everyone has really done that. That people understand the significance of it and just want to come together to fight this and make sure we come as a community and as a nation out the other side in good shape.
Indeed. Let's keep the shape of the country as best we can and recover as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Tim, the reason I wanted to talk to you is that I know you have been making a lot of inquiries. You've been talking to a lot of people through the electorate. And I wanted to get a gauge from you on how you think people are tracking along. What's the temperature like out there?
Yeah, and I look, I think, as you can imagine, it's a real mix, and I've been really fortunate over the last sort of 6 months I've been in this role. I've been out visiting businesses and on doorsteps and at different events. So you have a really good comparison. And in the couple of weeks leading up to lockdown, I started that campaign about adopting a street and just helping people to connect and look after those around them. And it just shows you that example of the community pulling together. We had 2,000 homes signed up within a few days. People really came together to look after each other, and it's fantastic that we live in a community where that happens so easily. But now I think, as this is a month on, certainly the feeling I'm getting talking to different people is that a lot of people have done okay. Everyone's done really well on the practical things. Everyone I've been, speaking to has either got a neighbour or a family member that can deliver groceries if they need help with that. People are getting through the lockdown aspect of it. It's when you talk to people about the sort of the follow-on consequences that you find challenges, and a couple of examples that might help people to understand. I talked to someone the other day that runs a dance studio, and obviously we can't have, and it could be a period of time before people can come together in big numbers like that to have dance classes. And so that's difficult, but there's still commercial rents to pay. So it's those kind of challenges businesses are up against. I spoke to someone who was a promoter for touring groups, and obviously all those events have been cancelled, but they've still had advertising, going out up until lockdown for events that are cancelled, and people are left out of pocket. And the other obvious one is, small retailers that might just have one or two staff, and now they're not able to trade unless they can online, but the commercial rents still have to be paid, or landlords now have got businesses that have sort of haven't been able to continue, and now they are left in limbo. So there's a lot of people have got challenges ahead, but equally, to be fair, I've spoken to a lot of people that were prepared enough for something like this, and it's going to be difficult. Things are going to be tight for a few months, but they're confident they can keep the business going, and that's really encouraging.
Well, good on them for that. So they were planning for the resilience. And in a way, with your Streets campaign, that was about resilience as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that's fine. But let's face it, there are people out there who are living week to week, not only in pay packets, but in paying the jolly landlord. And there are these things called fixed costs in businesses that just tend to go on. What do you think the responsibility of landlords is in a situation like this?
Well, look, I think the responsibility of everyone is that we just need to understand these are somewhat extraordinary times, and everyone needs to be reasonable and just take a moment to think, look, it's tough if landlords have no income coming in but the mortgage going out, and you can't pass that to the bank. But equally, it's tough if everything gets passed to the tenants and they've got no income coming in. So I think if we can just look at it from a perspective of everyone has a challenge, everyone's got sort of similar issues of money going out doesn't equal money coming in, then, and if we can just have a reasonable conversation, the government obviously put through this sort of Emergency Powers Act just beforehand on March the 26th, which changed some of the tenancies. You couldn't move people out. This was focused on residential tenancies. But the one area that we don't have any firm guidance on is this one about what happens when people can't pay or businesses are failing, and there is no perfect solution. And it really does come down to, I guess, ultimately a reliance on people being able to have a conversation. And look, one of the examples I used earlier, one of the businesses I spoke with, their landlord had been fantastic and had dropped the rent significantly by about 80%. Wow. Because they understood what they're going through. Other landlords aren't in a position where they can do that because they just recently purchased a property, and so their outgoings are really high as well. So look, everyone I think is trying to do their best, and if we can have a reasonable conversation, that's going to get us through most of the issues. But look, there are going to be some tough times, and where banks can step in with mortgage holidays and that kind of thing, that's going to help as well. But look, there will be some really tragic situations out there which are really hard to manage.
No doubt about that. I just hope that we can all take a long-term view, as long a term view as we can afford. Tim, have you noticed in your dealings with people a certain reluctance of approaching the bank? Because we have ads running on this radio station, and in fact, there's quite a campaign going on from the banks basically saying, come and talk to us. And I know they've had the nudge from the Reserve Bank to be as accommodating as possible. Do you think that some people may be a little bit reluctant about going to the bank and talking over their issues as they're emerging?
Well, I think that might be the case. I haven't spoken to many people who said they don't want to, but what I do pick up is when you talk to people, everyone I've rung and offered help, everyone will say, well, no, not me. Look, I'll get through it. We'll find a way. Talk to that person, go and help that person. And I think it's part of that slightly stoic Kiwi attitude of, I'm going to be okay. And to be honest, I've seen the charity that I set up and help with, we find the same thing. People are really reluctant to accept help because we always think, well, look, there's someone that needs it more. And we know that, there's people that are struggling just to get groceries each week. Food banks are under pressure. People are really struggling. So how could we accept help when there's other people that need it? And I just wonder if a little bit of that attitude bubbles to the surface and we think, well, I'm not going to go to the bank or I'm not going to go to whoever it might be for help because surely my situation isn't big enough for them to worry about. But I think, like you say, it's good advice is to have those conversations early, and that one person getting help doesn't necessarily preclude someone else from getting it, particularly when it comes to dealing with banks.
Because these are not normal times. This is an extraordinary time. I mean, frankly, the world has not seen anything like this for about a century. That's how extraordinary it is. So people should not behave normally if they would say, well, I'd never go to the bank to have a chat about that sort of thing. Look, these are not normal times, and I just hope that people can avail themselves of all the facilities that have been made available to people. But I suspect, like you, that Kiwi stoicness, the staunchness that we hear about could get in the way and could be quite stupidly an impediment to surviving a difficult situation.
Yeah. Look. I think you're absolutely right. And as you say, this is an extraordinary situation, and it sometimes, we don't even feel like we can say that in the moment because it doesn't look as bad as other countries have it overseas. But when you look back, that you're referring, I guess, 100 years ago to the Spanish flu in 1918.
Yes.
And people will pull out individual aspects like unemployment might hit the level it was 1990, 91. We might look at some of the other economic consequences that go back about 40 years. But to put the whole package together, the economy, including unemployment, the health crisis, all of that, you have to go at least to 1918. And of course, I spoke to someone the other day actually that's 98, about to turn 99, as I was ringing around to check in on them. And but look, even they don't remember that. And so none of us really have that kind of concept of maybe what a big deal this is, but it's a once in a lifetime for sure. And whatever we can do to help each other through this, and as you say, take a long-term view. It will be tough for a few months, maybe a couple of years, but we are going to bounce back. We are going to do well, and we've got a really bright future. We just need to help each other to realise and achieve that future over the next wee while.
One of the nice catchphrases of the moment, of course, is be kind. And I really hope that people are kind to themselves and just realise that these are extraordinary times, that we have got some really tough times to come, and that we are all going to have to pull together and support each other as much as possible. Well, Tim, I'd like to have another chat with you. Of course, we have a certain event later on this year called the general election. I believe you're going to be involved in that. I don't know if you know what you've let yourself in for, but no doubt we will have further conversations in the times to come. Thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning. It's been nice getting to know you here on Beach FM.
Hey, not a problem. It's great to chat to you. And obviously not really thinking about the election at the moment. It's just about helping each other. But I look forward to telling you more as the year goes on. Thanks so much.
Tim Costley, thank you so much.
106.3 Beach FM.